I was in a band. I used to do this all the time, sound check.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Is this a mic?
Oh, he's a roadie. Check.
I'm tone deaf.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Imagine a world where every threat, ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits, is stopped before it can even begin. ThreatLocker makes that world a reality with a zero-trust approach to cybersecurity. By giving you granular control on every executable that can happen in your environment, ThreatLocker protects your business around the clock. No more guessing, no more gaps, just rock-solid protection that keeps your operations running smoothly and your data secure. Discover how ThreatLocker's least privilege approach can safeguard your organization against known and unknown threats. Take the first step toward total peace of mind. Visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker today. Yeah, all right, it's the Security Weekly News. We're live at the NECCDC. I had to practice saying that in between sessions. We've been talking to different people who are here at this competition. This is a regional competition for the CCDC, which is the national level competition. Is it fair to call this Capture the Flag? Is it?
No, it's not so much capture the flag. This is an attack defend.
Okay, it's in that realm though. Mm-hmm. But so I've got Joe from Pace University. I've got Alan, who is from Roger Williams University, because we get lots of free seats here since they're hosting the thing and provided us with free food and drinks, although the bar was closed already, I think. But we'll see if it opens back up again later. But so they've graciously agreed to come on this week's show, while I may or may not actually exist at this point, because I might be at RSA, I might not be at RSA. It's a Schrodinger's host kind of week for now. I think I said that earlier, but this is probably a whole different separate show. So if I'm at RSA, hi, I'll see you there if I'm not. But right now I'm in Bristol, Rhode Island. So we're here with this. We've talked to some students. We talked to some coaches. Now we're talking to directors. So we've got two people. Alan is the current director of NECCDC. 2025. Joe was from 2024.
Yep.
So that's super awesome. And you're also coach of the PACE team. Is the PACE team the one everybody's afraid of?
Just after the competition, when they released their rage.
Yeah, those Lower East Side people. I'm always afraid of those guys. Yeah, he's like, you don't go down there.
I'm the Lower East Side.
You are the Lower East Side people.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm from up Columbia way. So I'm like,
we got the good pizza down there.
This is true, but yeah, I could just ride the subway down. Go back up, and get away.
Take your chances.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the NECCDC. So obviously there's schools that don't participate in these things that may want to. So what's one thing what would you suggest they do first if they want to get involved in their region? So we already heard from the coaches, and one of the things they said was find your region and get in touch with them. So what would you do beyond that? So you found your region.
Well, what I would do is, get in conversations with the regional director. In our case here in the Northeast, it's Joe Eastman from Champlain College, in case anybody's in the Northeast and wants to hook up. But aside from that, get yourself comfortable with this sort of a competition. Get your students at the maybe more beginner level competitions that are the same style. So I said attack defend before, but it's primarily a blue team cyber defense competition. The attack part is done, graciously by a professional red team that attacks equally across all the other blue teams. So you want to get your students comfortable with getting into that environment where their 8-member team sits down to defend their environment, and they're all in the hot seat. They're all under fire.
Yeah.
And, as veterans like us, we were kind of used to that. And we were like, yeah, okay. These students have never been in that kind of a situation before, never felt any kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And now they got pressure from the school, pressure from the team, pressure from the coach. They want to look good with the other competitors. Yeah. So the best way to ease them into that is to look for a competition like this, but aimed at a more beginner level student. Like NCAE Cyber Games is a great example of that.
Is that like something anybody can participate in, or is it like something you have to travel to? Or I'm not familiar with it.
Well, these are typically online. So NCAA Cyber Games was an in-person competition up until COVID. COVID kind of changed the rules a little bit, but as we're realizing now, it gave us just like another way of getting to a competition, right? So NCAA Cyber Games is virtual. You can, I don't believe you need to be a CAE institution. We could talk more about what CAE is, but you would go to basically just Google NCAE Cyber Games and check out the rules. But there are competitions just like that. Another one is called Cyber Seed, which is from UConn, University of Connecticut runs that one. But there are several around the country. Aim for one of the more beginner-oriented ones where you get more hints, help from the people who run it, et cetera. And that'll get the students warmed up.
And students, if you want to get involved in these things, go out like Joe said, and read the rules and try to get somebody to basically be your advocate on your campus, because you probably need that. I mean, if you can't get anybody, that's a little tough, but you usually can get somebody to at least, even if there's somebody from the English department. I've seen stuff like that. Just said, hey, look, I'll come and unlock the door. That's fine.
Yeah, ours started from the club. We have we have a lot of clubs here on campus, and the KIC, the Cyber Intelligence Club, found out about these competitions and really tried to put their best foot forward, and that's how we got involved with it. And 5 years or so of trying to get in and qualify, and then last year we finally were able to break that glass ceiling, and it was a memorable experience. So much that we decided to put our forward and make a bid to host this year.
I think the club's important because I've heard that from everybody we've talked to, is that the club's kind of your feeder for your competition team, because so anybody can join the club, at least the one that we have. You can just show up. You don't have to be a major. You don't have to be anything. You just show up, say, I'm interested in this. I want to sit in. But then the teams can pick people from there and have people elect to be involved. So that's pretty cool.
We've even extended it this year to include a 3-credit class. So we put so much, the students put a lot of effort every semester into their practice times to advance in this competition. It takes that level of commitment, and they've asked, hey, can we get some credit for this? So we decided to open up a class, a 3-credit class, starting in the fall semester. And to help enforce into
Ditto. Yeah. After my first year of coaching, I realized that, hey, the students are being asked to do training time when they've got midterms due, they've got maybe final exams coming up, they need to study, they're not getting credit. So which are they going to do, right? So we started a special topics course, Applied Cyber Defense and Operations, that I started teaching a couple of falls ago. And that's the perfect preparation for the team leading into the competition.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great.
Because that would be more of a like threat hunting, defensive type class would be the best sort of platform for this, rather than a red team like pen testing type class, because they're primarily doing that blue team role in the organization. Yeah. Okay.
Very much.
What kind of resources does somebody need to get this going? I mean, is it just literally like bring your laptop, we're good to go, or is this like, oh yeah, we need millions of dollars worth of equipment? I mean, to me, it's an interesting question, because the football team, we don't have a football team, but if we had one, what do we have? We have a wrestling team.
We have a wrestling team.
So, you got to have a gym and mats and coaches and golf carts and towels and all the, I don't know what you need for wrestling.
I think we even have a gaming team.
Yeah, well, so what do you need for this? I mean, I've never been involved in these kinds. So what do you need? I mean, really, it's like what should a school have if they're going to do this?
So in terms of like just practicing, at the end of the day, that's a great question, because that was what we encountered when we finally decided to put our best foot forward. We sat down and we said, well, what do we need? Like, what do we need for an infrastructure? And then the list started to grow, and we started to see, oh, we need to virtualize this. We need to do this. We need to build that. We need some hardware. We need licensing, VMs, and all this stuff came in. And it took a little bit of time, but we got there. And we found that by building these types of infrastructures, or whether you leverage AWS, however you choose to do it, there is a commitment in terms of what you decide. The more you build, the better experience you're going to get all around.
Of course.
Yeah, if you really wanted to, you could shoestring it with the students' laptops, and if they're capable of running VirtualBox or another hypervisor in their OS, and it's good enough to get an eval version of Windows up, because these things, there's always Active Directory in there. So if they're good enough to do that, and they could run, like, let's say Kali Linux, they could start to get their feet wet, and you could deploy stuff via containerization with like Docker containers, right?
Yeah.
So that's a cheap way to do it. But what we were fortunate enough to be standing up a cyber range about 3 years ago. So that's another one of my projects, and I love it.
I got to see it, by the way, when we went to pick up the equipment.
Oh,
Yes,
beautiful,
yes, yeah.
beautiful. So yeah, we a year and a half ago, we got the front end cyber range, which is a video wall.
Yes, that's the
The
one.
back end cyber range is a cluster of servers. And in there, we're able to roll out scenarios, using infrastructure as
Yeah.
code, relying heavily on that. And we use it for labs, for exams, and also for training the team.
Did
Yes.
you build it?
Built it, yeah.
Okay, so it's
Ground
built
up.
like from the hardware up. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's beautiful.
Sounds nice. Yeah. It's like
Well,
I'll
we're
drop
getting
by.
there. We're
Come,
getting there.
come visit us.
I know. I'll drop by sometime when you least expect it.
Yeah. We're getting our server up. We put our best forward, so we're getting all of our infrastructure and virtualization up here locally on the research network.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So you're gonna have that coming online, and I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
what's your
Spring this summer. This summer is
Okay.
hopefully we'll have it up online.
Okay. Well, that's very
nice.
cool.
Yeah. We'll start to develop again more scenarios.
Is that all like cloud based stuff? I mean, even if it's internal, I mean, is it all cloud based virtualization stuff now?
Yeah, define cloud.
Well, I mean, I'm literally saying it's virtualization.
It's
I mean,
virtualization.
so, yeah, because I know when I first so long ago in 1999, if you can imagine, I actually got a guy who is dead now, but he financed a hacking lab at the University of Northern Colorado, and this created a great controversy. But we were actually doing this kind of stuff and having our own internal games and competitions. But it was all physical. I mean, it was literally like I was buying, Cisco routers, I was buying servers and putting them up, and the students were defending them, like that. And they were taking turns being red teams and blue teams, because it was like, okay, they're going to defend this server tonight. You get 2 days to set this up. Then these guys get to attack it. You can do anything you want because it's an isolated network. You can use malware. You can use any kind of nasty thing you want to do, except you can't go over there with a ball bat and just take the server out. So that, and so today it seems like this is all moving very heavily into this virtualized world. There's online ranges. I mean, I've seen commercial ranges that are for sale online. You can buy time on them. There's free ones. There's one at Carnegie Mellon that is free. It's grant funded. So who knows how long it'll be around, but at the moment anyway, it's still there. But so would you recommend that? You recommend you build your own?
I would say it depends on your budget. It depends on your ability to deal with having hardware in a closet somewhere that you have to maintain, because that's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to do subscription services, and you could spin something up in AWS or Azure, then that's a great way to go. But in our case, having having to maintain a subscription to pay a bill every month was not any capability that I had. But I could get some capital up out of a grant or something like that. And that's kind of what we ended up doing, to get some servers built up. And then from there, it's open source hypervisor, Proxmox.
Mm-hmm.
So Proxmox is amazing.
I have that.
What you could do with it. Very well suited for what we needed. You don't run up against the licensing walls that you would with other products. So that's really helpful. And naturally virtualization, plus infrastructure as code, to be able to automate spinning up an environment. So you spend some time on the front end figuring out what you want in that environment. I want Active Directory. I want Kali Linux. I want this database, that application server, etc. Configure it up, and then just be able to spin up 1, 2, 10 of those for labs, for training, etc. So that's a beautiful way to go. I definitely recommend that if you could tolerate dealing with the hardware.
Yeah, I think from my own experience, I have a Proxmox server. I mean, I thanks Broadcom. I had VMware for years because they had an academic license. I got reasonable price, and then Broadcom bought VMware and said, those licenses you have, we'll sell you commercial ones for $150,000. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a little more than my current budget of like $1,000. And they're like, oh yeah, well, how many CPUs you do have? And I told them, and they were like, oh no, 150. That's not even close. It's more like 250. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll take 2 of those. Just, I mean, like, just throw one on the fire for the sake of it. But I do have Proxmox, and I would second Joe's comment and about hardware. Hardware is awesome. I love hardware. I've been in hardware since, the 1980s, and I love it. I love having servers at my house. I love having, I used to have a bunch of servers here. I have servers at my house, and I like all that stuff. It is an ordeal, especially if you're a smaller institution and you don't have enough people to support these things. Because I have come down to campus many times at 3:00 in the morning because one of my servers died, and I had to come reboot it, or the power went out. And I had there was a professor here who apparently just sat at their terminal hitting refresh, and I didn't need an alert system, because all I had to know was the minute one of the servers quit or the network quit, my phone would ring within 10 minutes, day or night, 24/7, and they'd be like, "Do you know the web server's down?" And I'm like, wow. You actually beat the cron job.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I didn't get the cron notification. And but there's definitely that. Plus there's HVAC and there's electrical and all these expenses. But I will also agree about AWS. It's very difficult to get funding for this from institutions, because I've tried. When I said, could I get rid of this server and just move it on AWS, and you pay me, we pay as we go? And they're like, what? No, that's not capital. You can't do that. That's illegal. And, I mean, they haven't quite learned how to deal with it. A lot of corporations have problems with this as well, because their accountants go, no, that's not the same thing at all. And there's some dangers associated with that kind of environment too, because if you've got people turning stuff loose and letting it run on, and you don't put caps on it, and all of a sudden you get a $40,000 bill next month.
Whoops.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that scared me to death.
I've seen a few of that in my day.
I've almost done it myself. I finally realized I could set these auto terminates, because I was using Amazon Workspace it was a test. I was like, should I keep this Linux server that's sitting in my basement that I use for all this stuff, or should I put it on Amazon Workspace? I was like, it's kind of a cool idea. I can get to it from anywhere I happen to be. I don't have to support it. I can turn this off. My basement will be cooler. My electrical bill, I'll quick in those notices
A
from the
lot of
electric
benefits,
company.
a lot of upside, right?
Yeah, well, I get those all the time. They're like, you use more power. I think they think I got a grow house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I literally, I was like, I wonder what they're thinking about this. They're like, why do you use so much power? And what are those funny lights I see on your basement window? And it's because I got servers sitting down there. But I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs in that. And then of course you can do this with open source. I mean, I think absolutely, because Proxmox is open source, so you can get that. It's very nice. It looks a little 1990s, but it actually works just great. And
absolutely. Yeah, it does. Yeah, that does look a little bit like that. I also want to say, just before we go on anymore, Oracle, Broadcom, if you're listening, Proxmox is horrible. No one would ever want to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody would.
Please don't buy Proxmox.
Yeah, please don't buy Proxmox. Oh, that would be. You shouldn't even have said that. We'll get that edited out.
Okay.
We're gonna edit the name Proxmox out. We have a mystery product that Broadcom should never know about ever. Yeah, because it's like electronic arts and video games, right? People don't want them to know about it, because then they can buy the game and go, oh yeah, now it's ruined. So yeah, please don't buy Proxmox, or we can make a new one then. We'll have to make a different one. Okay, so you're basically advocating in-house cyber ranges for the students. So do you need space then? Do students have you have a TV walls and all kinds of stuff? And are you in the process of doing that? Yeah.
So our IT department at our university is very engaged with the academic side, and
they were all out here.
Yeah,
I saw the IT department.
All,
I know where I'm going.
This is right up their lane. They were very happy to help and lend a hand, but they're also very engaged with the student body. So the idea of opening up our server room or a rack within the server room to put the host server in there is certainly something that we do here.
Okay. So beyond that, so if you got the hardware, where do you start students on this stuff? So do you say you're going to take this class, or do you say here's a skill set you have to be at the bare minimum to get in, or what? I mean, how do you do that? I mean, like, if I try out for the wrestling team, they're probably going to ask me to wrestle before they tell me I can, and that's going to be a pretty sad day. But
so we're make the team by fire. It's you drop them right in. There's 8 slots open for the competitors, so we always look at the the top 8. And then 4 alternates on top of it. So generally on our side, what we've seen is that it settles down. It settles down to who the top eight's going to be. Sometimes it's by their where they are in their academic year. So seniors who are at their last year, we know this is their last chance to do this competition, so they may get a little bit more of a precedence in that particular year. But at the end, it's generally it's the best of the best will fight to get to the top roles.
Yeah. Same, same with us. Just the size of our club has been that 12 number is something that we fit into quite well. So we don't have a lot over that there has to be a big competition, and working out, who the starters are going to be has also been something that the team captain, who primarily is closest with the team members, can work out pretty well.
So another big thing that I was going to ask you as director level people, how do I get sponsors and friends? Like I had this private person, it was an individual who was very wealthy, who supported tons of stuff at the University of Northern Colorado. Thanks, Ken, wherever you are. And that was easy. I could call Ken Monfort and say, hey, I need $100,000.
Well, we all need a Ken.
And you do. And he would say, tell me what it's for, why you need it, how it's going to be used. And we would write a, business plan and show him, and he would usually give us the money. But when we want to go out, like now at this point in the world, we want to go out and get sponsors. So we're like an F1 team. We want to have people's names printed on our shirts and whatever. My show has sponsors. Hi, if there are any of you out there like to sponsor something, I am here. Please, reach out day or night. But how do you get sponsors for your team? I mean, who do you target with that? Or do you do that? Maybe you say we don't do that. We're not allowed.
Yeah, I'm probably not the one to ask about that because I was not very good at getting sponsors. I was able to get our AWS rep to help us out with the cloud costs because the competition, I don't know if we mentioned that, but it largely runs on cloud infrastructure, which makes it easy for the team to work independently on building it leading up to the competition, and they could easily spin it up, spin it down. So it's a perfect case for not having to put that capital cost in there.
And that came directly from AWS?
Directly from AWS.
I mean, I would definitely say that. And of course, Microsoft Azure has an education program as well.
Yep.
I'm not advocating any of these, but those are good places to start because if you do need that kind of virtualization, if you can get them to kind of back you and help you and get, they may be able to provide some of that. I've never been a huge fan of these things where it's sort of a, demo world, which I got, the vibe of like, well, I set this up and then, after 1 year, I have to delete this account and create a new fake account named, I changed my first name to Dave White and I make a new account because believe me, I've done that plenty of times. I've been in academics a long time. I've taken classes where they had you do that. Like, if you already have an account, go ahead and create one with a different name, because, the demo runs out. And I don't like that very much for something like this. But I don't know, Alan, what about you? Sponsors?
So sponsors are a big thing. That's one part of becoming the director is figuring out how to get everything done at the end of the day. And so bringing in sponsors here in kind is just as equally as good as money at the end of the day. So looking for sponsors who are in this space. So like Ocean on the network side, our network provider was able to do a lot of in-kind, build out the network for us. You think about donations for laptops. For the competitors all have laptops. We're running they're running on some older ones right now, but those came in from a donation at the end of the day. So it's looking like-minded people who have something to offer into the competition.
I built quite a few labs and things, and that was another approach we always took was like find out who the local corporations are, because one thing you learn, and all of us know, is that IT. You got stacks of old equipment sitting around that you probably don't know what to do with, whether it's older laptops, and Linux runs on older laptops and so forth. Even Windows will run on a lot of older corporate laptops. And, you get your disinfecting wipes out and go to town and clean. The first club exercise is like, let's wipe these laptops down because we really don't know where they've been. These were in the trunk of a police officer's car for about 6 years, and they're a little gross, but they'll be fine.
So true.
And then also you can get servers, you can sometimes get licenses for stuff. I mean, I've had corporations offer to, we can just transfer this whole license to you for this equipment or whatever. Cisco has an academic program. They have, we're a Cisco Academy. I'm the actual Cisco Academy person.
Yeah, Cisco Academy is one of the sponsors of the national
Okay.
NECCDC, and some of that flows down to us as well.
Okay. So you join this thing. So the first step is you go find your region, you join it, you make friends with the directors, whoever the regional director is, because they're probably going to be the person you want to talk to the most. Make friends with some sponsors. Or at least find out who potential sponsors are, right? I mean, it's pretty easy for you, and it's like, go out on the street and turn around, right? And
In New York City.
well, it doesn't mean it's easy, but at least it's easy to get the names. Maybe not easy to get the money, and I mean, even Rhode Island's like that because we have tons of stuff that's nearby between Boston and New York and Providence and the island, and we have all kinds of defense contractors and stuff down there. Yeah. Creepy, weird places with Patriot missile batteries pointing at overhead
Right,
planes.
you never know it.
I saw that thing moving one time.
Right.
I was like, what? That's a Patriot missile battery.
A lot going down there in the
No, I had a friend who worked on it. I was like, that Patriot missile battery alive? He was like, oh, yeah, it's alive. There's no missiles in it, but it's like you can track planes and stuff. Oh, yeah, it was a fun day at the office.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait till we get caught doing that. So we do that. So we look for some sponsors. We set up a club. Would be a good step if you don't have a club already, is to set that up as a sort of open-ended thing. Maybe go for some of these commercial exercise kind of things first, to see how your club fares and how people like it, and maybe how it fits into what you have. Right. And then at that point, you might be able to start thinking about, okay, what's the next phase, that we actually go to this. Could you do a team without anything on campus? I mean, you could, right? If you just literally just had students with laptops and that's it, you could probably do it.
Absolutely.
Not ideal, but
yeah.
But you could get an old server and put Proxmox on it, and then you could set up a ton of Linux, Kubernetes, Docker type environments, and you could run Kali, you could run Security Onion, you could run all these products that are free. And yeah, again, maybe they're not super awesome, but you can be that ragtag band.
Half the battle is spending time behind the command.
Well, yeah.
Just spending time installing the software, knowing how it works. It's dependent.
I was going to say, that's how I learned
everything.
That's
how you learn everything.
It's a painful process.
It's a very painful
process. If I had a guy come in and go, just follow these steps, should be good. But I mean, I literally, when I was like, I don't know how to build this, I'm just going to build it. I used to take consulting jobs. They'd be like, how to set up Windows. I mean, I got one once. They were like, how to set up Windows NT? Yeah, sure. You bet.
And then it all comes down to why didn't it work, right? Why didn't it work? Now you got to fix it.
Well, you break it. I literally, I was showing somebody, this was a couple of years ago, I was showing a student, I had these lab books. And I said, I always have these lab volumes for stuff that I was doing, especially for stuff that's proprietary, whatever. And I was showing them this one. And I said, this was me learning how to set up Windows NT Server. And I said, look at the numbers. I said, this is the number of times I reinstalled this because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And it was over 200 times that I had installed this on the server because I did not. It took me that many times to get enough notes that I could get through the process and actually get to the end. But I knew an awful lot about it by the time I was done with it because I would find out what I didn't know. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out.
Which is that benefit back to build or buy. Anytime you can build, you're ultimately doing things that you have never done.
You can have the students build it. I mean, obviously it can get to a point where that's not feasible. But I mean, having students build servers and put Proxmox on them and build these things out would be a pretty good educational process. I mean, like I said, I used to do that. I used to teach that class. So I used to teach hardware, and I'd literally have them build a computer. And I was like, okay, let's just take a motherboard and put it in the case and see how bad you're bleeding by the end of that. Right? Sometimes it was bad, yeah. So, any other comments you have for either existing teams or potential teams? Because we're going to have to wrap this up in a minute, or Tyson's going to come looking for me.
Throw your hat in the ring. That's the best way to do it. Just jump right in and don't be afraid to fail.
That's a New England swimming technique.
You just keep trying. It took us 5 years, I said, to break that glass ceiling to make it into regionals. And all along the way, it was failure until
I would learned. I'm going to add a comment to Alan's is that be patient.
Be patient. Yeah.
It's very difficult. I mean, you don't see somebody set up a baseball team at their school, and 2 years later they're fighting for the world championship.
Correct.
I mean, it just doesn't work that way. So be patient. And I know that's tough because your students are only there for a limited period of time, and they want it to all happen right away. But you're going to have to establish this. You got to have a student organizational memory. This was something when the Cyber Club first started, I was telling them, you need to not through me, but you need to establish an organizational memory that you can pass along from this year to next year because you're going to graduate. and then you're going to be gone. And I've seen these clubs, and I've seen them kind of just fizzle because there was this dynamic person, Casey, if you're out there, who is running it, and Casey graduates, and now all of a sudden we're back to, me. And it's maybe not so establish that and be patient. And Joe?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Since you're going to be establishing to these students like what the competition's like, how tough it is, they're going to need to learn how to dedicate their time to learning, right? They need to learn how to feel what it's like in the competition. If you don't make it to the regionals, right? So you could get into the qualifier, right? So there's no bar to that. You just pay what is $250 registration
Small fee, yeah.
New teams, I think it's $100, right?
Yeah.
So you get into the qualifiers, you get a taste of it, right? So there's no bar to that. And if you don't make it to regionals, get into a more beginner-oriented competition, or have the competition in your own environment, right? Your own red team, your own blue teams.
Yourself. You'll learn a lot.
Exactly.
And you can't go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong.
Worst case, it's a disaster. And you go, well, we learned and we'll do something better next time.
Exactly.
The Roger Williams team, I talked to the coach earlier today, and he had mentioned that a few former students from Roger Williams had taken on the red team aspect and brought them into the environment. So this week's practice, earlier this week, their last practice of the season, essentially had former students that are now professional pen testers join in and be the red team. And they had to defend, and they said it was a great experience all around. Not only because they're connecting with some alumni, but they're also engaged in the same type of environment and stressfulness that's happening here today with the red team trying to break everything on them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Joe and Alan, two director level people from the CCDC agency group. I mean, they're both faculty, or are you your faculty? Yeah, they're both faculty members and teachers and have other jobs as well. And they're doing all this. They're quite amazing. Thank you for joining us. That's going to be it for me from Bristol, Rhode Island. So I will see you next time on the Security Weekly News.